Howdy, soldiers. Welcome back to Simon of Fortune. Today, me, my wonderful fiance, and one of my best friends, Maggie, are checking out the Indiana Military Museum in Vincennes, Indiana. We haven't been inside yet. We've just been looking at all the vehicles outside so far. But making this video so you can come along with us. And also we got this badass C-47 here. I just want to jump out of that thing right now. Whatever.
The first thing you see when you enter the museum is a massive collection of vehicles, including this submarine conning tower, tanks, things from bad guys, good guys, rusty vehicles, missiles, artillery, rockets, even more good guy stuff, and most importantly, a fleet of kitties. Been chosen. Buddy.
Hi there. Hi there, sweetie.
Planes can't fly, no matter how hard you might try. They even have a replica German bunker.
I'm only gonna say this to you once, but I think you've lost your fiance in the bunker.
Mein Gott.
The bunker is made of solid concrete and is adorned with several German touches, such as writing on the wall, bunk beds, wood-fired stoves, and more. Apparently German reenactors like to come and spend the night here on occasion, and I mean, wouldn't you? It looks pretty comfy, don't it? Without further ado, let's go inside the first building. The first building, after you pay your admission, is chock full of really cool uniforms and gear, ranging from the Revolutionary War into the modern day. Especially this chrome M1 helmet and parade rifle, which are just like my Grandpa Brown was issued during his time in the Army. These first few cases are about earlier conflicts in America's history, starting with the Revolutionary War and the War of 1812, and on to the American Civil War and Spanish-American War. Lots of cool guns, wonderful uniforms, paperwork, home front decorations, more weapons and insignia, and this diagram showing how percussion fuses work.
Boom!
On to the World War I era, something I thought was really cool was this section dedicated to James B. Gresham, the first confirmed killed soldier of the war. And believe it or not, he was actually from my hometown of Evansville, Indiana. In addition to his section are a plethora of other World War I items. Uniforms and field gear, weapons, helmets, and even personal items like toiletries and other small issue items. If you reenact World War I, this is a great reference for your own gear if you need it. There's even early Air Corps uniforms and gear, as well as some home front items like posters, Blue Star banners, toys, and letters. I especially like the personal items they have on display. This engraved canteen is really cool, as well as some other trench art and a captured German helmet. The next display case is dedicated entirely to George S. Patton. They have a few of his uniforms on display, with some photos and some newspaper clippings on them. They also have one of his iconic dress uniforms, though that's not currently on display. At the time of my visit, one of the volunteers said it would be on display in the next month or so, so by the time this video comes out, you should be able to go and see it. Also on display are the uniforms of the last officer and enlisted man of World War II in active military service. Brigadier General John J. Costa and Master Chief Petty Officer Clarence E. Dowden, who served from 1943 to 1989 and 1945 to 1988 respectively. Here are some German and British artifacts from the outbreak of World War II. I especially enjoy the weapons displayed here, as well as the several pieces from the attacks on Pearl Harbor. This is a small display on Doolittle's raid, which was among the first American attacks upon the Japanese of the war. Next to that is a nice display of Allied weaponry, as well as some US Navy uniforms and equipment. I think this Mark II Talker helmet is really cool. I've only ever seen one other one in person at the museum in Evansville. Some German weapons here, as well as a Liberator pistol, which for the uninformed was a small, cheap .45 ACP pistol intended to be distributed to resistance forces. The Panzerfaust on display here is also pretty cool. Next up is a display of some more US World War II gear, including an M43 field jacking belonging to a James Gavin, at the time a 2-star general. He was known as Jumpin' Jim as he jumped with the 505th Parachute Infantry Regiment, 82nd Airborne, and literally wrote the book on airborne operation. Field Manual 3130. Here's some cool Army Air Forces uniforms and headgear, as well as a female USMC uniform from the period. Among these are artifacts from notable figures during World War II, including Chief of Staff George C. Marshall's garrison cap, some medals and patches, some artifacts from Iwo Jima, and in the back there's an autographed picture of Dick Winters of Easy Company fame. Also pictured here is a Navy signaling lamp with some artillery rounds in the back, and something I thought was really cool was this leaflet bomb.
You could fit so much propaganda in this bad boy.
Some cool things in this case are a constabulary helmet liner, a scale model of one of the atomic bombs, and the flight jacket from one of the crew of a B-29 which escorted one of the bombs dropped by either Enola Gay or Boxcar, however which one I cannot recall. After World War II, we're on to the Korean War, with hostilities breaking out between the Communist North and the Free South. Some uniforms from this period are on display, as well as some other weapons and personal items, and an impressive array of firepower, which I mean literally in this case. In the next case are some medals from Lieutenant General Frank Milburn, who commanded one corps during Korea, and the sidearm and uniform of General James Van Fleet, a more than seasoned veteran of the 2 World Wars by this point, and commander of the 2nd and then 8th Army during Korea. On to the next display of an M1919 A6 Browning LMG, and a whole mess of patches also on proud display. Also included in this section are some cool artifacts from the 38th Parallel, also known as the DMZ, and some more miscellaneous field gear. I would have liked there to be a larger display on the Korean War, but what is there is pretty nice. But moving on to the Vietnam era, here's the uniform of General Maxwell Taylor, who we all know as the first general to step foot into France on D-Day, and his gallantry serving in the 82nd and 101st Airborne Divisions. Next we can see a Claymore mine, and the helmet of a GI who had likely seen better days, and some uniforms of even more generals, including General William Westy Westmoreland, commander of MAC-V and later Chief of Staff during the Vietnam War. Here's some stuff from the invasion of Panama, including an M81 BDU Woodland uniform and the uniform of Manuel Noriega, General and ruler of Panama at the time. This is the flight jacket of 2-star Rear Admiral W.G. Sizemore, who served in the Navy from 1944 to 1982, which shows his rank of captain, the naval equivalent of an Army colonel. Here's some stuff from the invasion of Iraq, including some USMC Desert Marpat uniforms, Army Desert uniforms, and hilariously, at least to me, an MRE on display. Lastly, some modern day stuff, including yet another MRE, 2 flavors of ACU, and the Desert BDU uniform of General George W. Casey Jr., Chief of Staff from 2007 to 2011. And that was just the outer walls of the first building. Also in the first building is quite a collection of vehicles ranging from horse-drawn carts to jeeps and even up to tanks. Also in the middle is a continuation of an impressive collection of uniforms and other gear, starting with the uniform of General Mark Clark, leader of U.S. troops in Italy during the Second World War and commander of the UN Command during Korea. Some more World War I uniforms of the U.S., German, and I believe even British, but I don't exactly remember. Here's one of my favorite things of the entire trip, General Dwight D. Eisenhower's dress uniform. One of only 3 on display, the other 2 at West Point and the Eisenhower Presidential Library and Museum. And there are a cascade of uniforms and gear that I haven't been able to show you in this video, but I think it's time to move on to the second building of the museum, as that has even more to offer. The first thing you see when you walk into the annex is a life-size replica of a World War I trench, complete with sounds of gunfire and artillery. Now the video doesn't do it justice, it sounds a lot better in real life, but this is what you hear when you walk through it. There are a couple dugouts with men meeting and medics tending to the wounded, and there are also some cool World War I vehicles on display, like this tank, some German artillery, and a French ambulance that apparently the French government wants back, but I guess they're not going to get it because there's someone making his lunch inside and he looks pretty comfortable. On to World War II. Here's a staff car from World War II. I believe it's a Plymouth. It's parked next to a portion of a barracks building from George Field in Lawrenceville, Illinois, across the river from Vincennes, Indiana, where the museum is located. Inside the cutaway walls are various scenes from the time, with sound effects just like the trench. While you observe these scenes, immersive sounds fill your ears, like the sounds of radio chatter, pounding typewriters, Glenn Miller on the radio, and even flushing toilets.
Sorry.
When you're done looking at privates, next door is a wonderful barracks display, complete with uniform coats on hangers, bunk beds, a weapon rack, an impressive footlocker display with lots of cool stuff in it. And of course, no World War II barracks could be complete without a picture of Hitler with just a few darts in his face. It's not just Army stuff here. Here we see a U.S. Navy Burma Jeep, as well as one of only 12 remaining Higgins boats in the world. Some anti-aircraft weapons, Japanese uniforms and a tank, and a pilfering enlisted man.
Where'd you get those pants, Corporal?
Inside this huge church display is a smattering of other World War II vehicles, like command cars, super jeeps, deuce and a halves, General Patton's own command car, and a VW Kubelwagen. This particular one was in the movie Valkyrie, actually. Finally, there's a small variety of Korean War vehicles on display with this guy who has definitely seen some things. While we look at this replica trench outside the museum, I should probably explain myself. So one of the museum volunteers, super cool guy, he took us behind the scenes to their storage and their restoration shops and everything, and I didn't know if I could film any of that, so I'm sorry that I couldn't show you any of it today. But they have a lot of cool stuff, like a V1 rocket, different vehicles like slat-grilled Jeeps, World War I trucks, more command cars. It's just super cool, and I wish I could have shown it to you, but like I said, I don't think I was allowed to photograph anything. But thank you to the gentleman who showed us around. I didn't catch your name, but you have made our trip to the museum truly unforgettable. Anyway, Real Me's gonna talk at you now.
So we just got done looking through the Indiana Military Museum here in Vincennes. We saw a lot of behind the scenes stuff that I didn't get on camera. I don't think I would have been allowed to, or if I was, still I didn't. But this place is amazing. Me and my friend Maggie, we volunteered on the spot. This can't be the only time I'm coming here. But yeah, we got here around 9:45 this morning and it's 3:30. So we've been here all day and I am not at all tired of it. And yeah, if you are in the tri-state area, or if you're not, if you live halfway across the world, come here. The $8 mission is definitely worth it. They have veterans, seniors, and kids discounts. I'm not being paid. This is not an advertisement, but an endorsement that this place is awesome. They have all kinds of stuff just like this truck. So come here, look at it, and just run wild. It's amazing. So before I end this video off, I just wanted to say thank you again for 100 subscribers. It's crazy to me that I was able to reach such a number. I know there's people with millions and billions, but I'm just happy with what I got. But thank you so much, guys, for all your support. And if you really want to help the channel out, link in the description, there is a form to a survey, a Google form, called the Simon of Fortune Census for 2023. It just tells just a couple questions. It's completely voluntary.
just ask you how I'm doing on the videos, what you'd like to see, how I can do better. So thank you, soldiers. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.